Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
And we are back with your Survivor News covering Survivor Season 45, Episode 11. Your baby boys are here, the podcast that almost did not happen. I am excited to be joined by my brother, my good friend, Jack Atkins. What's poppin', baby boy?
What is up? So excited. We might be a little late with it, but we're excited to be here and talk about a great episode 11. And fortunately, we were all able to be in New Orleans for it, and that lots to talk about with that too. So I was gonna say we were able to all watch together. It goes so far.
We almost did.
I didn't even mean it like that. I was just like be able to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the goal. But again, welcome back to the podcast. Wendeezy, you may know him from Winners at War. You may know him from Beach Cabana Royale, or I really know him from Not Saving Me a Seat. It's Wendell Holland.
Oh, that's how we want to do this. Oh.
Take it easy, guys. Take it easy.
All right. The only thing I'll say, and we can say it for the debrief, is that I wasn't the only one that was sitting there, but I'm the only one that got blamed for it.
You weren't anyway. See, you see how because he keeps trying to swing the pendulum to you, Jack. And Jack and I have gotten into one fight ever in our friendship, and I have vowed to make it the one and only. And so I will never fight with my baby boy Jack, but you kept trying to bring him in it. But anyway, we are back.
Can you make the same vow for me?
You're trying to bring Bruce into it.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. And then Bruce kept walking by me talking about, I took your seat.
He didn't say that.
Yes.
That's where it all boils down to. But I guess for those who are listening, I mean, not to die, but we had a little miscommunication, but everything's smooth now. So it's spring break 2.0.
Okay, it's because we all were on spring break a couple of days, but honestly, we wanted to make sure that we did not miss an episode. I feel like this season has been one of our biggest momentum wise, and just us appreciating the Jack Shack in the comments. And Survivor News, it's not just a podcast, it's a lifestyle, it's a brotherhood. And honestly, like, before we get into the podcast, Jack, Wendell, I love you guys very much. And, we are brothers and we love like brothers, and we may get into disagreements like brothers. But all that matters is the brotherhood is intact, and we are here to talk about some Survivor. We are back from New Orleans. I just have to say, New Orleans was a vibe. Like, if you have never been, I've been before as a child. But never as an adult.
In the 70s?
In the early 2010s.
Right, 14, everybody.
Right. New Orleans is just a different type of vibe. It is just the Brice and Wynn present welcome party for RHAP was a whole vibe. Shout out to everyone that came. The RHAP live event was amazing. Shout out to Robert. Just a big shout out to Sammy and Owen for their huge part in it. They just helped. They were amazing hosts. They made sure that things were together, and it was a great time despite Wendeezy acting a fool. New Orleans was that's my take on it.
My take on it is, I have a lot more to say in the debrief, Brice, but I will say, because it was a good time. That's all I'll say.
Jack, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, wherever you go, it's always the company you're with that makes or breaks it. But New Orleans was definitely the setting to facilitate a great time. I just felt like there's a culture in the air there that not a lot of other cities, especially in the US, have. And so just walking around it, it felt historical. There was great food, live music, even sort of that voodoo magic aura that the city has, and that the
And
city,
the architecture.
The
no,
architecture.
just in the air.
Yeah.
And the architecture. Yeah. I thought you
Yeah,
were saying
the voodoo magic
in
was
the
definitely in the air, Jack.
yeah.
But
Bryce,
I think it was in the
Wendell.
drinks too. But
we're not going to talk about the voodoo magic. Go silent.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's for the debrief because the voodoo magic was in the air. But honestly, one of my most proudest moments of just the whole time was, again, I'm here with Wendell, the winner of season 36, Ghost Island, and you were on Winners at War. I happened to be on Cagayan. For me, I just loved the love that I got to like witness Jack get, right? Like there are so many people that were saying like, I was listening to you guys on the ride up down here and like Jack, and I agree with you and Jack. No one's right, but Jack's right. Like, I just loved hearing and seeing Jack just get his flowers. So that honestly for me was the highlight of my trip, was just the baby boy.
thank you so much. I'm glad you brought that up in the sense that you reminded me. I wanted to say like there's especially with my time on the circle and stuff, I've had people come up that know me from like the circle and things like that. But I always say like there's no better sort of love and recognition for me than someone who really loves the podcast and all you guys that are listening. And I had a few people come up and show love, and it genuinely makes me like a little emotional because this is something that had time on reality TV comes and goes, right? And it ebbs and flows, but this is something that's been consistent, something that I've loved to do. And it was just even funny having people come up that were like, I didn't like people that are like, I never watched the YouTube. I listen on like, Spotify. I didn't know, put the name to the voice. I didn't realize you were the baby boy. And then they were like super excited. I was like, damn, I didn't even realize that, people might know my voice, but not what I look like. Go ahead and check it out, Jack Atkins 21 on Instagram. But it just some of the genuine love that we were able to get, and then just AP that people would come up to me and share. I mean, it means the world to me, guys. So I just want to say how much I appreciate it.
The only thing I'll say to that, to piggyback, is like, and I think it's so cool. It's so special when the three of us get together, especially as we kind of grow. We've been on this like slow, steady growth trajectory. And I consider us as like the little guys, kind of the underdogs, kind of this little pod. But it seems like a lot of the right people like listening to us. And I think it's pretty dope when the three of us can get together to watch, despite us not sitting next to each other. And I just, it's always special. So to everybody that saw us out there, thank y'all so much. And it's cool to see us, like I said, grow slow and steady. And we have big plans in the future. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah. To piggyback on it, like even the fans, I love how the fans love Jack, but I feel like, I know you have Christine as your mom, but I feel like I'm a mama bear with you, Jack, sometimes. And so I even love the Survivor community, right? Like the fact that like, I'm like, Jack, where y'all hanging out at tonight? Because ain't no, like, I'm going to Jack for the tea because the Survivor community recognizes you and sees you. So I just appreciate you, Jack, and just appreciate this podcast. And so again, this podcast was not going to happen this week, but we pulled it together, and I came out of spring break when DZ came out of spring break, and Jack was here chilling, waiting. So I'm excited to get into episode 11 because
it was a
I'm
lot.
not happy.
Oh.
I'm not happy.
Should we start from the top, or do you want to get right into what's got you hot and bothered?
Well, Jack, listen, you
we
the
need
man
to talk about what's got him hot.
Y'all already know what's got me hot. And mind you, I didn't.
And that's yeah.
In that sense, that's
I guess that's right towards the top of the episode. So
let's get into it.
I mean, I know, but I need to give me 2 seconds. But my hotel is a mess, so I don't want y'all to see what it looked like. So you give me 2 seconds.
Well, Jack, I don't know what he's about to do, but he's about to do something. I hope he doesn't pick up a voodoo doll or something.
I hope he doesn't come back just like D.
All right. Sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's got me hot right off the top is I'm really big into I'm big into astronomy.
Wait, what? Oh, astronomy?
I'm big in astronomy. I'm big in numerology. I'm big on the signs. And to some people, I am the sun, the star, and the moon. So for me, it was a lot when you pour into an obsession. It's a lot when you give the roses, the flowers. It's a lot when you're the only person that can notice someone's soft but hard hands, long but short hair, beautiful smile. You know, when you have a relationship with a mother and they look up in the sky and they talking about Amber and Rob, and it's not me. Okay? That's what I'm hot about. Okay?
But Brice,
How dare Austin
Brice, if we're
betray
talking
my
about,
trust?
oh, I'm gonna let you finish.
So are you mad at Austin or are you mad at D? Or at both?
I'm mad at both. Okay?
But Brice, to look at it optimistically with some astrology, as you mentioned, or astronomy, I guess, as you said, maybe genuinely, maybe the sign of the week. If Austin is the seat, maybe when someone takes your seat, that opens up room for a new seat. If you know what I'm saying.
Maybe. Maybe. But listen, I'm not one here for this showmance. Okay? I'm saying it now. Now, is D smart? Yes. Is she pretty? Yes. Is she beautiful? Yes. Is she a killer? Yes.
Does she have soft but hard hands? You got big toes. We know that.
She got big toes. Okay.
Does she have big and small toes?
She does. Okay. So I can't compete with that. I know. But I'm loyal. I'm genuine. And I'm funny. And
Brice, question. If they were open to polyamory, is that something that could interest you?
Call me Polly. I'll be your Molly. But yeah, so I normally I love showmances, but I don't love this one. And what I don't love about it, well, obviously, because it's not me. But what I don't love about it is that D is vicious. D is cutthroat. D is I just have so much respect for her, right? Like where I feel like D can compartmentalize her feelings. She can say like, I just, and I don't know her, but I just seeing her on the TV, I feel like I know that like she knows that she's out here for a game. And yeah, I might like you, but if it comes to $1 million, I'm taking my $1 million. And my man Austin, he's on a road to an NBA. Okay. He's still maturing in life. His heart is still growing. Okay. He's tall. He's built. He's handsome. He's smart. He's funny. He's charming. He's endearing. He's empathetic.
We get it.
Oh,
we get it.
You know, but I don't feel like he has lived yet, right? And I feel like, hearing him talking about the Amber and Rob story, like I love that, right? Like that's like survivor dreams. And I feel like he would sacrifice $1 million for love. I feel like D like run me. I feel like D would be like, run me my money. So that is really what I hate about it, because I feel like it puts Austin at a disposition automatically, because I feel like, and we see how the episode plays out, right? Like I feel like she has the upper hand. That's all. So I'm mad at Austin right now. So I'm not talking to Austin this week.
No, I think you touch on. I think your specific situation with Austin. I like that you're able to bring it to a broader level of the fact that like, could this be detrimental?
He does have broad
to
shoulders too,
Austin's
though.
game?
Yes.
Could this be detrimental to Austin's game? And we started to see how the impact this episode, which we'll get into later, but you know, we could look back and this could have cost Austin. You know, I have my own thoughts too that we'll get into, but you know, I guess the word on the street is that like this could be like a lot of the fans are thinking this could be Austin tanking his game. I got my own thoughts. But we can, I don't know if we want to talk about it now or we want to get to that later.
Well, like, share your thoughts.
We're here.
Okay, let's tackle the whole Austin and D situation. Look, I mean,
I will say one thing: the stars in Fiji are very beautiful.
But the Brice
that a riddle?
Isaiah shining star.
Was that a riddle?
No, I'm saying like when you're out there, the sky is so clear that these constellations are like spectacular.
What you know about a constellation?
Let me tell you. I would look up. We would be at night. You look up and you just see all the stars.
You did have a
lot
of time on season 40 to look up at the stars. So
you know, I had a lot of time on both seasons, but you probably didn't even stay a single night where you were. So
the beds were very comfortable in the Philippines.
Yeah, but anyway, they turned into two astronomers out there talking about some Big Dippers and the North Star and stuff. But Jack, I'm sorry.
We're clear.
Nerd, so I'm into it.
I'm the only Big Dipper Austin needs. But
I studied some astronomy in college, so I love a little astronomy talk. In the circle, I had those little glow in the dark stars on my ceiling, so those were real beautiful too.
Austin says Saturn ain't the only one with some rings.
My thoughts on it. Do I think this could hurt Austin's game down the line? Absolutely. This episode, he's getting a lot of backlash for sharing this intel with D. And for me, the jury's still out. I don't think it was like necessarily a bad move. And maybe I'm just an Austin defender as a fellow UChicago student. But for me, when Drew gets the ball rolling and is pushing back about making a move against Julie, to me, it feels like Austin can either get on board the moving train, which is not Brice in this instance, or he can get left behind. And so I think because Drew, has the numbers to make this move if Drew wants. And I think Drew is a student enough player that he would, when he determines this is the move, he's going to make the move. He's going to tell Austin, but it's kind of like like I said, get on board or get left behind. And so when Austin kind of realizes that he needs to get on board, why does he necessarily have to leave D out of it? I don't think this was.
Why does he have to bring her in it? I
feel like this isn't necessarily the best move in Austin's mind. But if he knows that things are going that way, then he could share the information with a close ally to at least be able to think through options, think about next possible steps. Because if he leaves D out of it, I feel like he is he involved in the blind side? Yes, but I feel like he's sort of a secondary thought in that move. And so at least by looping in D, is he giving away this is kind of the same thing I've criticized Couture for in the past of like giving away information.
So keep that same energy.
And that's a factor, but this is slightly different in the sense that when things are already going that way and you need to let a close ally know. I don't know. I know he's been getting a lot of backlash online about it, and it's easy to correlate his budding showmance, which could certainly be deleterious to his game. It's easy to correlate that.
How do you spell deleterious?
DELETERIOS. It's like it's a word that I mess with heavy.
Jack, you just got my seat's a little moist.
The britches?
But just to put a pin in my thought, like I understand that his budding relationship with D is negative, not only to Brice, but maybe to his game. But we can't necessarily say that, because of that this specific move is necessarily bad. It might not be the best, but I don't think it's within the vacuum of the move. I don't think it's that bad.
So this is what I will say, right? Like I agree with you, right? Taking my emotions out of it, I think him letting D know a heads up could be potentially a good move for him, right? Like there's nothing he can do, but he's giving her the heads up. So that's building an even bigger bond with them, right? But I feel like as a viewer, seeing the type of player D has revealed herself to the audience, I feel like it can be guilty by association. It could be like the revenge that she will want to seek. Although, like, sometimes it's like, don't shoot the messenger. But at times I just feel like it could come back to bite him because D is such a strong and amazing player. I just say sometimes ask for forgiveness, not permission, right? So it's like, I would rather it be on the other side, like blindside her, let her know that the power's not with you, and then be an ally. I feel like going to her and telling her, even though she can't do anything, still gives her some power.
And if we're if we look at the outcome and we know that this ends up saving Julie, now it's like you've made D that much stronger. And when you could have just, this person who is probably the strongest in the game, you could have weakened her a little bit, right?
Right.
And I guess that's maybe what it boils down to. The question for me, like, if Austin doesn't leak this to D, does Julie play an idol? And I feel like I thought that she probably would, but
I don't think so.
You're right. Maybe not. Maybe my mindset was that she probably might have played it anyways. But I guess if Austin and Drew are able to keep it tight-lipped, then maybe they pull off the move.
How does it get back to Julie if not?
We see the confessional where she is
suspicious. She's a little suspect to Drew. We see D in her conversation with Austin before Austin even says anything. She's like, I'm sensing a weird energy, something like that. So maybe I could totally be wrong in that assessment, and I definitely don't think I have a good idea of what would have happened, because that's the big difference. Is like, yeah, maybe she wouldn't play that. I don't know. I just
yeah, and it's like, again, from a number standpoint, from Reba alone, right? If they got out Mama Julie, that is Tina, D is weakened, right? But now they didn't get them out at all. And now with this information, if now Reba continues to turn on themselves, more than likely the next person they will target is Drew. And by association, who does that weaken? That's all, like, you know what I mean? Like Austin, like, is now at the mercy of D, essentially. And that's what I don't like for my man, right?
That's
like
true. No, you're I think I've definitely, I hate to say I'm turning a little bit more, because I do think that, and this is just really a credit to D, but it is
right.
When you're the player that all the information ends up funneling to, you're the one, and this is what I've said. You're the one in the best position. And so when we watching and knowing how strong of a player D is, this really just ups her stock a lot. And like you said, well, Brice, like that, and that in turn, if Austin is committed to her, hurts his sort of equity and chances of winning. So yeah, I guess in hindsight, we got a lot of other episodes to get through, but for maybe this is one of those things where, like you said, you ask forgiveness, not ask permission, and maybe maybe it's just complicated though, because it's like, say with a showmance, there could be a very similar situation.
It's not a showmance.
Okay,
it's with two people looking at the sky.
Yeah, with these two astronomers. Like, say if D wasn't as strong of a player, then it's like absolutely looper in, like that's your ride or die. But so it's like, at what point in this in your relationship of astronomy do you, like, right? Because there's some gradient of like they're gonna win. I can't tell her, even though I really care about her. or it's like she's not gonna win. She's not a great player. Like I can tell her, and so it's like, how do you find that middle point to like, because it's somewhere close in the middle. Well, obviously Dee's a great player, but to Austin, it's like that balance of like winning versus, you know, it's very interesting. So yeah, maybe it wasn't the best move, but I obviously don't think he deserves a lot of the.
But also let me just be clear, right? I'm upset with him, but that's my man, so I could be upset. The way I've been going at some of these tweets and some of the stuff, listen, that's mine, and I'm gonna stick beside him. Y'all don't need to have no comment about. Listen, he playing out there and he doing his thing.
What are they saying?
They're just saying that it wasn't a great move and that like that was his end game. Like, you know, no, it's not.
It's I think there's a sentiment that he's basically sacrificing his game because of this. But like also, obviously I don't think you can count Austin out. And
right.
I guess we're really just gonna be jumping around this episode. We'll touch on everything, but
Ladies,
I thought
leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and they pockets full grown. And all you fellas, leave your girl with your friends, because it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. So we say you got a man, I know you got a girl, but the party ain't gonna stop. So let's take it high. Last week when you stayed at home alone and got your hood up in your bed, oh yeah. This week when you're going out and you try to stop and you're out and your hair done and your nail washed too, and your car will and your
I'm on his suit.
Watch it there, party. Ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and the pockets full grown. And all you fellas, leave your girl with D, because it's 11:30 and Austin's with me.
That's where you were going,
Jack. Now Jack. I will give you a hint.
You saw I knew the song though.
Yeah. Yes. So. The title of the song is
Big Ass Spider in the Corner.
Oh, not a spider. Save it.
It's just a daddy long legs.
Oh.
That's what they call me.
I also love when people meet you. They're like, I just picked in my nose. Jack is so tall. So the title of the song, Jackery?
Like, do I know the title?
That is the question.
No, I thought you were giving a hint, and you were like about to be like the title.
Well, because I figured you said the title of the song.
Oh, I feel so bad. Oh, I didn't even kill a spider. Fuck. I mean, darn it.
Pick him up.
All right. Well, I don't know where he went, but I'm gonna
let him live.
Let him chill. Hopefully, he doesn't crawl up on me.
Let
I don't
him
know
live.
the title. I don't know the title, but
you said the title.
It's just like jumping or something.
Say it 2 more times.
Jumping.
Okay. All right. Now.
Is it jumping or jumping?
Jumping.
Okay.
Now I will give you a hint. You have sometimes this is always one of your go-tos. So I will give you a hint in the question that I'm going to ask you.
Child? Yeah, I thank you. Okay, I actually was thinking like but I didn't want to be basic and just guess that shit or guess it again. Wendell, I got it right.
He did get it right.
See, I was thinking it was Beyonce, but I was like, I know there's some other flavors in there.
So
I didn't want to say Beyonce, but I was like thinking about the song, like hearing it play in my head. I was like, this sounds like Beyonce. And obviously, Brice, you just killed it with the rendition. So
I'm gonna add that to the Survivor News playlist on YouTube, on Instagram, on iTunes, Apple Music.
iTunes.
I'm old.
On Napster. Download the MP3.
I was like, I only had to pay $1.29 for this one.
I'm gonna put it on my MySpace page.
Wendell's gonna burn. He's gonna burn a CD for everybody at the next fight to win.
But what I wanted to say about Austin, that just to wrap up the thoughts from me on that was, I thought him not playing the Idol was pretty, like ballsy, and he's still got it. He's obviously it expires next tribal, so I think like obviously you can't count him out, right? Like play that 6, win a challenge, or make a move at 5. He still got to go. So you know, I'm still high on Austin.
At least someone that can win a challenge.
100%. Especially one of those classic like Final Five types where you know, big obstacle course puzzle, like that's him. So a little misstep, but and then also quickly, people were giving him flack for giving Julie the more powerful idol, but that's because the amulet idol non-transferable. So the only one he could give was that one that expires at Final Five.
So here is a question that I did read on Twitter. Was someone was saying that he should have given her the amulet idol.
Ooh, because he technically can't transfer the power.
Correct. So technically she could have used it, but not really used it.
But the problem there is, you know, the reason he gave it away is because at that triple split, they were worried they would actually have to go to a vote. And obviously him giving it was because he wanted her to, you know, stay in the game.
Wanted her to stay in the game.
So if he gives her the fake one, at the time that he's working with her, say they do go to a vote and then she can't play it. Now she just gets voted out with his amulet. And he just looks really bad.
That's true.
But at the point right now, in the game, that would be, you know, obviously knowing that you're going to maybe go against her.
You would maybe want to give her that amulet idol. Yeah. Also, I just want to shout out my mother-in-law. That is Austin's mom, Miss Eva. She tweeted me this week. And listen, she was with the people. She says, Austin will always be my sweet, kind, smart, loyal, hardworking, handsome, and parentheses, I may need Brice to fill in the rest. Okay, because she listened. Okay, that's my mother-in-law. But she says, but sometimes a bit messy. Love and proud of you always. Okay, shout out to the mama with the hot takes. Okay,
we need Austin's mama on Survivor. I feel like she's got that dog in her where
she's got that dog in her.
She's Team Brice. So listen, but anyway, shout out to all of Austin's family, but also especially shout out to Austin's mom because she watches and listens, and she's a part of the Purple Pants Posse by love and by vision. So, I mean, if we're still jumping around,
let's hear it.
Can we talk about Katurah? Because I feel like, and a part of the reason as to why I was in my feelings is that, like, I wanted to be with my brothers, to be like having these conversations. I feel like I'm vindicated, right? Like, we didn't see a lot of Katurah. However, we got to see a lot of Katurah's story. And her story is just, I don't even know the words. Incredible, right? And it just makes me look at her so much differently. Like she is so much more stronger than I even imagined. And I feel like us seeing that story of all that she has been through, and again, also from last season from the letter, and we know she may have an estranged relationship with her mom. Now kind of all the pieces are coming together. But just knowing all that she went through and the reason as to why she became a lawyer, I just feel like what I had been saying before is that, like, because the editors continue to harp on this Bruce storyline, we didn't really get to see or know much about Katurah. But it makes me feel even more convicted in my love for Katurah, and that there is more that we are not seeing. She, like, you know what it just, for me, it's like, I feel like to go through all of that and you're playing Survivor, this is a cakewalk, right? Like, I feel like there is more of her that I feel like in these next, I mean, it's not that many, but I still feel like there is a lot that Katurah could still do.
She could win the game, Brice. She could win the game. I'd almost venture to say that anyone could win the game, but Katurah, with her brain and with her story, if she makes it to the end with the right people and with the right moves, she could win the game.
And again, it's like, you know, this lawyer alliance, right? Like Jake, Katurah, and Tina. And again, Katurah, here we are. What day is this? Day 20? And Jake is still talking about, you know, and Katurah's like, Wait,
Oh,
I forgot you. A lawyer? The bar?
that's crazy.
right.
Oh.
And
Sorry, I just remember when we did our predictions, and I said that there are all these lawyers on here, and y'all were like, "So now we could have a final three of all attorneys,
that would be crazy.
and two of whom have kept it under wraps."
Yeah. No, and to jump in as someone who's
Here we
admittedly
go.
given Katora her fair share of, but look, you know, for
'Cause
me,
I'm ready.
I look at the game and, you know, the person completely differently. And so, you know, in past weeks, I gave Katora some critiques about gameplay, and I stand by those. But also within those critiques, I said, if she's able to turn it on, turn up, then I do think she has. And of course, I'm maybe rewriting history a little bit here, but I for sure was like, right now, it's not working. But going forward, there's always a chance. We know, especially in the new era, to kind of turn things around, like you said, Brice. So Final Seven's a great time to do that. Strategically speaking, she's in a spot where she can maneuver a little bit now, especially with Bruce out. So that's promising. And then on a personal side of things, I mean, completely unrelated to any great gameplay critique. It's incredible story, so admirable. And so for me, those things are completely separate. And it was so incredible to watch, not only her story in the episode, but also at the live show, just the reaction that it got and the emotion that it brought out. And people were, you know, standing ovation in the middle of the episode after she finished her confessional. It's just something I couldn't even imagine. And to see, you know, the strong woman that she is in her own life, but also as a lawyer representing other, you know, like she said, people of color, women. It's just incredible. So I definitely want to give the flowers for that as someone who hasn't always been the most supportive during the season.
We appreciate that. But and even in that moment, Jack, with the standing ovation that she allegedly got, if she were there, I think seeing that moment was even more powerful and special to me, just because I know that she hasn't had an easy go with the community and with the fans. And I know that, you know, I don't know if I shared with this podcast or I was on the feedback show with Rob, but I tell Wendell this, but like you know me, I be on TikTok and, you know, I watched the TikToks and stuff. And so she was like, you know, telling her story and like just about how emotional and how she was staying off of social media because like the trolls were coming for her. So I just feel like to witness her get her flowers in real time, even when I am at my maddest at some people that I care about the most, I was so happy to see that moment and to like see her just take it all in. That like, yeah, you might get a couple of keyboard gangsters, but the real love is in the real people that show up and come out. And so that was just a special moment for me to witness in the back by myself.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on that one, or should I jump to all right, I mean, I guess we're just we're just straight bouncing around kind of different, which is, I think, is fine. I'm down to we're trying it out. Something else from the episode that really stood out, and there's a couple things here. Emily, you know, at the start, first and foremost, they get back to camp from the last tribal council, and Emily really openly takes credit for this, for her ability to sort of lull Bruce into a false sense of security through her plan to, I guess, throw Julie under the bus as a strategic move to get him to feel comfortable. I mean, what do we think? Is it just what's the especially as people who have played, like, what's the balance of how do you take credit for your moves and make sure your resume is noticeable to other people without going too far? Because
do it at Final Tribal Council. That's
or I even say make it a collaborative move, right? Like don't take all of the credit. I think that like, I think that it is all Wendell and Jack and we work together to do this. Like, I think very rarely, if it's not at the final, do you take sole credit or do you tell the full story like that?
Yeah, like why did she have to tell the story at all?
No, and in this instance, I totally agree. I just wanted, because you said, like, tell it at final, Wendell, and of course that's always the time to share that. But for me, I'm like, especially in this day and age where it feels like the jury compares a lot of notes. But I guess maybe I guess what I was gonna say was, like, the jury might, if the jury doesn't know going into final tribal that this was really planned by you, they might come in with some preconceived notions that are less flexible to change even when they hear this information. But we do have a guy like Brice who's probably going to Ponderosa and sharing that, Emily did get me comfortable, and that's going to be the story that the jury understands prior to hearing her say it herself at a potential final tribal council.
I have a slight different take on that, Jack, because I almost would want the jury to go in thinking it happened one way, and then me at my final tribal be, boom, drop the bomb. Like, no, it wasn't that. It was me. I would think that could potentially get more of a reaction from the jury. But, I mean, also, you could be right, too. What do you say, Wendell?
I think there's an importance in them kind of having an I think it depends on the jury. I think there is a world where you drop a lot of bombs on a jury and sway their opinions, but I think it's also important that they kind of can see to some degree some of your game, whether it's as you send them out of the game or whether you're telling your story at tribal council. But I feel like you have an uphill battle if it's all at final tribal council. So
exactly, yeah. But I tend to agree. I guess it's kind of like you want to have people coming in with an idea of some of the stuff you did, and then really just come in, articulate it superbly, and just kind of just drop the bombs in a sense that, like, people kind of already know you're locked and loaded, but they don't know the full story. And I also think with this, I mean, definitely, I think it was a blunder, especially given the fact that, you look at at this point in the season, within the game, up until obviously edit-wise, I think we all thought Emily was a strong contender. But up until now in the game, were people necessarily looking at her as such? Not necessarily. But for someone like Emily, I think you could look at, the jury up to this point. You look at a Caleb, who was one of her closest allies for his time in the game. You look at a Kelly, who, of course, it's a little bit easier to say from our perspective, but Kelly's been apparently, exit interviews or even at Ponderosa was speaking very highly of Emily's gameplay. You have a Kendra who we know from, like, secret scenes or discussions that Emily and Kendra had a pretty strong relationship, especially given that Kendra, that visit she took to Lulu day 2 of the game. And then you look at a Brice who I think, has people he would rather vote for a Emily potentially than a lot of other people. And so while her game hasn't necessarily been at the forefront, you look at the jury, it's a group of jurors that are going to be pretty supportive of you, especially with Caleb, the mayor of Ponderosa, which I do think has some weight to it in the sense that you can even subconsciously kind of get in people's ears as they come to the jury and kind of set the trend. I just definitely, I mean, I hate to say it. I think, it's just, it wasn't necessary to lay out the genius of the move so blatantly.
But giving Emily a little grace, knowing her story on Lulu, knowing what her first day was like, I feel like, and these are some of the things that you can't take into consideration as a viewer. It's one of those things that when you're a player and you're in the moment, right? Like, I think that she was genuinely proud of herself. And, like, sometimes it's like, you want to be like, this what I did. So in that moment,
all celebrating. And they're all in this, like, jubilation state. And a lot of them think that they're all working together and have all of these close bonds, even though we know it's Reba's tight. A lot of them think that they have these ends, they're hugging. You see Couture hugging people, like, and they all work together to get Bruce out on this one. When, like we've said before, there's a bigger thing at play here. This Reba 4 is way bigger than a single Bruce. But for them to get this Wicked Witch out of the game or whatever and come back and be so high on life, she might want to, like that just might be in her spilling because she's
right.
feeling
and she
it.
hasn't had this moment all season, right? Like she's literally been like fighting for her life, right? I feel like she just doesn't. So I give her grace in that moment, but I also feel like I get the rebuttal that you don't want to give that genius away because it automatically raises your threat level.
Yeah, no, to that point, it's like looking at the circumstances, it's not a situation where it's like, Emily, how could you do that? Like, no, it's understandable how it happened, but of course, and especially with hindsight being 2020, it's just a lesson, I suppose, of to any player that keep your biggest resume boosters tucked away.
Do your big one, but keep it low. Like in that moment, I think that it would have been perfect for her to be like, I know it's something Couture wanted. Like, like I would have like kind of roped Couture in a little bit to kind of like lessen the genius of the move. But I mean, it was a genius move.
Yeah. And then something else with Emily I wanted to talk about was the journey. First and foremost, unspecific to Emily, can we think of a better system to select who goes? Like, it's like, oh, final 7. Here's a journey. Who wants to go? Like, and if multiple people want to go, we're gonna draw a rock. Like, of course you're gonna want to go at final 7 for like pretty much anyone's going to want to be like check it out. And so then just everyone drawing a rock. It's like, I think we could do a little bit better. But Emily, the journey was pretty short and sweet in the sense that she's off. But I want to discuss it. She's offered the chance to play the same savvy game that was available at the start that both tribes failed. And if she wins, she's guaranteed immunity. And if she loses her vote. I have my thoughts, but before I want to hear, she opts not to take the challenge and preserve her vote. What did you guys think about that?
I thought it was smart, like, because that's what I would have done. But I hate challenges like this, especially in the new era, because if I don't like you, if for whatever reason I want to put a target on your back, I could just feel like, I don't believe what they're saying, because we've all seen that you get something, you give something. Like, I felt like she was completely honest with her story, but I understand people like D being like, I don't believe it at all. But I'm with Emily. Like, I'm good. I'm just keep my vote and keep it moving.
Yeah, same. Well, that is a hard challenge. And she's one of these numbers, and she's one of these players. She's in a lot of people's ears. Her number could be very important. Don't risk it.
And so it's like, I almost feel like when these challenges arise, I feel like the people, like, can we take the parchment, right? Can y'all search my bag? Like, because I just want y'all to know what I'm telling you is real. But I also then feel like that might be doing the most. And people might feel like you doing that makes you sus. So I don't know. It's just like, it's weird. But again, listening to On the Fire, I think that that's one of the things that Jeff likes about the new era, is that, like, because they have introduced so many of these new things, that even if they never bring it back, they are bringing fans on. And there's always the possibility that something like that could happen. So people are always keeping that possibility in their thought process, so it changes the game. So I love that aspect of it.
I can't believe Jeff thinks his own ideas are good.
You got to
Brice,
tell him.
You listen to cooking podcasts, Brice?
What I say, On the Fire. What's the name of it?
On Fire with Jeff.
I still need to check that out. I heard it's mixed, but
It's good.
Yeah, I need to tap in. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like, and I think most people.
I feel like I'm sorry.
Oh, he's
No,
awake. Let's hear what he has to say, Jake.
I feel like in the last version of On Fire, it seemed like Jeff was giving out. It almost seemed like some spoilers were coming out. So give it a listen. Let me know.
Really?
Yeah.
Or I mean, when you see him this week, Jack, you could tell him.
Oh,
Well, tell him what.
tell
No,
him.
obviously, I'd love to talk any survivor. I would happily.
I'll tell him anything.
No, I would
I know,
happily. That was obviously a playful. Jeff, if you're listening to this, please. I didn't mean it. No, that was obviously a playful roast. But
No, it's the back pedal for me.
yeah,
Right, he's walking it way back. He's
I mean,
moonwalking.
I was joking.
No. Here's the thing. If I met him in person, would I be down to debate some things? Absolutely. Would I be like, oh, Jeff, like, wow, no way, you like your own ideas? That's crazy. No, that would just be rude. But I'll say it on here.
Jeff, my name's Jack Atkins. I've been watching with my dad Ben for my whole life. I know Wendell has your number, and I have Wendell's number. Hi. Jack, Jeff, can I ask you a question? Yeah, what's going on, Jack? Do you want to see my buffs? This is Caramona. This is Ghost Island.
Caramona.
Yeah, that's an accurate representation of what will probably happen. But no, I just wanted to say, like, I think this challenge is kind of a trap. I don't know how much time they had, but I've looked at the video of how you're supposed to solve it, and I still don't understand how you're supposed to solve it. Like, it's even if you know what you're doing, it looks like it takes a lot of steps that have to be executed properly. So it really just seems like a trap to just make players lose their votes. And especially from up to this point, what we've seen, Emily is in a pretty good spot. And Final 7 is also just sort of like a notoriously crucial spot. Given there's an odd number of players, it's a little bit easier to make a move. Even with this Reba 4, all it takes is one person to want to flip and maybe make a move. So having your vote is so essential. I really think the only time I'd look at a challenge that looks this complicated and will want to do it is if I know my back is against the wall, and that my vote might not matter that much. Because obviously in hindsight, if you know the votes, even if you're in the majority, the vote's going to be kind of unanimous, like it ended up being, then it doesn't really matter if you have your vote. But just the fact that it could end up being like a 4-3 situation, you need to have your vote. So I think Emily was totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to talk about. I guess really the last thing we need to dive into is just sort of this immunity challenge and what goes down after. So the immunity challenge, we've seen something a little bit like it before. They're in this whole, I guess, wooden contraption tied to a rope that's all scrambled up. They got to unspool themselves to get enough rope to run out to these sandbags that they throw at these blocks. And then once they knock all the blocks, they got to stack them up in a self-supporting arch that spells a word both front and back, which was a little bit confusing because I didn't really feel like they clarified it super well. Because especially from our angle as a viewer, they were working on the puzzle and I would say Eve. And it's what do they know how to spell? I don't. But keeping it short and then also the winner gets to pick people for a sort of do-it-yourself barbecue back at camp.
On the fire.
On the fire. To keep it short and sweet, it's kind of an Austin and Drew face-off, but Austin doesn't realize that the puzzle is double-sided. I don't think Drew really realized at first either, but he was able to figure it out. And Drew secured the win. Ran it with a boys' night 2.0, picking Austin and Jake, which I loved. And then, one other thing I thought that kind of came out of this that was funny before I sort of open it up to your thoughts. I just thought it was so funny. The girls back at camp had a little spa day realizing that they couldn't really talk strategy because of the way the targets were shaped. I mean, D just started reading the facts on her buff about like the manufacturing. I thought it was super funny. But the challenge, whatever the reward, whatever happened after, what stood out to you guys?
I mean, although I was mad at my man, I thought again his performance, he stood out. I feel like I just feel like he needs to play the idol next week. I know this is not necessarily connected to your question, but I feel like he needs to play the idol next week, and there's a good possibility that he can win his way to the end. And yeah.
You are riding for your man.
I'm going to ride for him. I mean, even when your man, your friends, they're not loyal to you, how you be loyal to them,
So
I'm gonna always save Austin the seed.
Good one. Here's my question. If Austin wins immunity next week and has his idol, what is his best move?
To give his idol to someone to pull a fast one. Whoever they are targeting, he needs to give the idol to, and him and Drew need to pick a name.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very worried for Drew next week. So if Austin is able to win, I think you cover your boy and.
So you're more worried. You're more worried for Drew than Julie.
1,000%.
I'm not.
I'm worried for both. I mean,
I'm more worried for Julie because, and maybe we're veering too early, or can we get into this?
I mean, we already basically talked about that. We already basically talked about what happened.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I just think that they all agreed, minus D, that this is the person that's going to beat us all at the end, and they all took a huge shot, and she just did a 360 alley-oop. You know what I mean? With some English. She just did some crazy move in front of the jury, and they all think that she can beat them. I think they're going to keep targeting her.
You're right.
And I guarantee you, Julie will probably win immunity next week, right? Like, that's what's going to happen.
You think so?
But
I don't got that.
With all that being said, well, no, I fully agree. Maybe thinking that Drew is... I think there'll be some backlash, right. Julie and D could turn on him and then pull some people, but I do think it's in the player's best interest to maybe get Julie first. But to Brice's question of what do you do with your idol? You don't give it to Julie,
Right.
Well, I mean, in that case, no.
Yeah, you keep it with you and your boy, especially as we've seen. I think Austin, going to the end with Drew is a good idea. I think Austin would probably beat Drew. So
this is where it becomes interesting, right? Because now it's like, if Jack and I feel like one of the targets will be Drew, you feel like it's Julie. Who now has the power in the game, right?
It's Katora.
It's Katora and Jake now, right? So it is. I am more interested to see if our theories are right, how Jake and Katora handle this, because this could very well be the pendulum episode.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of when you're in this position where your threat level is arguably the lowest, Arm is to me is making those moves at the end to take out just threats that are bigger than you. Is that impressive on a resume? But right. if they can manipulate the situation so that they can get to the end with someone that they have a good shot of beating, then that's a very effective style of gameplay.
Here's my other question. The Reba 4, they've been so good and they've been so together, except for this when they started taking in shots, right? Is there a world where they realize, hold on a second, these jokers are about to crack us in our muffin?
Nope.
So we need to say, you know what? Let's go for one of them right now.
In my opinion,
where they come back together?
In my opinion, the Reba 4 is done. Only because it's D, right? And we have seen the type of player that she is. There are no going backs with D. And especially given the reaction to Mama Tina, that is Julie, when she found out that they were lying to her face, I personally feel like the Reba 4 is done.
Now, if the Reba 4 is done, we could see an avalanche on the Reba 4.
And it's so interesting, right? Because the way the numbers are, it's like Katurah could side with Mama Tina and Julie. Jake, like it's like Katurah and Jake don't even have to be a voting block, right? Like they could kind of split like it. I really feel like this next week's episode is going to be so interesting because, yeah, I just feel like the Reba 4 is over.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I did really like about this episode overall was the sense that there's no longer this group trust that had existed before that was kind of unbreakable. Now it's sure you have duos and things like that, but there was sort of an aura in the air, not of voodoo magic, but of just like mistrust that made it the whole episode kind of tense. And as you guys were talking about that, I was just sort of thinking about like how could the rest of the season shape up, and I do think Julie's in some trouble soon. For me, I think there's really 3 people that I think could win right now. In just different permutations. I think D is the clear-cut favorite for me. I think she beats Austin.
Yeah.
I think she gets to the end, she beats pretty much anyone.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are looking at Julie before they're even looking at her, like I think she's gonna be cruising. I also with the knowledge that Austin presumably won't go home next episode. He has an idol, and he presumably won't target D from what we've seen. She's got some coverage. I think
unless something happens and D is the target and he's like, oh, D.
Unless he comes to his senses and wants to make amends with me.
But yeah, that's true. I think Austin, if he could get to the end with the right group, like a Drew and a Jake, boys night at the end. What I wonder actually, and this is going to come a little bit out of left field, my third person would be Katurah. If she's able to steer things right, like I could see them piling on to Julie next episode, and then maybe like Drew flips over to Jake and Katurah, or even maybe D Jake, or maybe D Drew and Austin.
I love it.
Vote Jake or Katurah, but I think in that instance it would probably be Jake. And then if Katurah can sort of sneak her way into a final 3 with like, I don't think she beats D, but if she can get in there with like Drew and Jake, or even Drew and Austin, who as a duo might split some votes, and she lays her story out there, sort of an underdog story. I mean, we've seen before, people love an underdog at the end. Do I necessarily think in this scenario I would vote for her? I don't know. But we've seen, especially in the new era, we've seen crazy things happen. So beyond that, I just don't really think there's a permutation of people that get to the end, right? Like there's not going to be a Julie, Drew, Jake final 3 where we like have to have a winner from there. And so I think if Austin, D, or Katurah end up in some combination, one of them will beat out Drew, Jake, and I think Julie, if she gets to the end, probably would win. I just don't feel like she's going to get to the end. Her target's a little bit too big now. So that's sort of how I see it shaking out.
I got 2 things. First one might upset Brice a little bit. I just question how people view Austin, how people in the game, how the jury views Austin. I question how much they would reward him. I question that.
And that's so funny that you mentioned that, because it reminds me of, Chicago, we got a bit of a losing finalist curse going on, right? Spencer, Raymond Bledsoe was in. He was a losing finalist.
Yeah.
0 votes. Xander was a 0 vote finalist.
Uh-huh.
Even myself, different show, last place finalist. And I can see a world where, and it's so funny, the parallels that I see between Austin and Xander, where they've done such a good job of obviously archetypically they're kind of similar guys, like smart guys, but come across as sort of like a surfer bro that isn't always like, to the audience, they're playing a very smart game and doing a great job of lowering their threat level. But I'm worried that, like Xander, Austin is doing too good of a job of lowering his threat level, where
like,
the jury's
doesn't
not
look like he's even playing.
the jury's not going to see
let me just go ahead. I want to cut
I was
you
going to say, in another parallel is just the idols that they've had, that I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you had an idol, we weren't going to come for you anyway, so you didn't really have to maneuver as much, which I think is a crock of shit. But it's one of those things where at the end, it might be like, well, Austin, you had two idols. Like, we were never going to target you. You didn't have to like scramble that much.
And protection.
Because he found two idols. And
let's just clear house, because what we not going to do is have no podcast where they coming at Austin. Like I said from the beginning, me and Mama Eva are the only people that could come for Austin. So listen, surfer boy or not, Wendell asking the questions like, I wonder how the jury's going to see him. I'll tell you how they going to see him. He's smart. He's loyal. He's handsome. He's tall. He's strategic. He's got an N. He's getting a B, and he'll have an A very soon. Okay? He's got two idols. Okay?
Trust me, if Austin's a losing fighter, I don't want that to happen. I hope Austin is a millionaire. But I'm just looking at the situation, and just looking, like I said, at the parallels with Xander. It just feels really similar.
I agree. And I too have an affinity for Zaddy Zand. And so maybe I have a voodoo curse.
So now the only second thing I wanted to say was, first, because like as a viewer, we watched Xander and we were like, yo, this guy has a shot. And with Austin, I'm like, yo, this guy has a shot, but I just question what the jury's receiving. My second thing is, I think this could be one of those seasons where we could see multiple people getting multiple votes at the end. And that could make for a pretty cool, just like.
In this new era, there is always somebody that gets no votes, though.
Every single vote, I believe, in the new era has been 7-1-0.
Yeah, I think depending on the people, it could be different. That's all.
We will have to.
Similar.
Well,
I was just. I feel like it could be similar. Like if you get like a.
I don't want to say no names, but there are multiple combinations of three people that I could see 7-2-1. I mean 7-2-0.
Okay.
I kind of I mean,
okay. All right.
Like if D's at the end, I think she probably wins. With
if D's there,
and then someone else catches a vote or something, but I don't know.
All right.
It's an interesting opposite, like with the new era, because it's just like I think the jury just does so much discussion that they start to sort of think. Not that people like can't think for themselves, but when you're discussing and comparing notes, even if you're not like trying to argue on someone's behalf, you just kind of catch the vibe that everyone thinks, oh, so and so is playing a good game. Well, then they must be playing a good game if the whole jury thinks that. Like then it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And
why the mayor Ponderosa is so important.
Yeah.
And also depends on like I sometimes feel like someone will throw a vote on someone to distinguish them as number two, because that greatly increases their chances. Like I feel like with James, he says that he voted for Cassidy, and one, that was his girl, but also he was like, he knew that a lot of people weren't, and he wanted to show her love, and that one vote was a lot of $1,000 different than what it would not have been. So
it's like 15K, you know,
right?
So throw your homie 15K is not an unreasonable thing to do. What was I gonna say? I don't know. I think it'll be interesting end game action.
For sure. I mean, I think this was an interesting podcast, the podcast that almost was not, but I'm so happy that we were able to discuss it and talk about it. And
Are you giving Queen Emily her flowers?
You gonna let me finish my monologue? Or are you done texting on your phone? Yes. So I think that it is a very interesting. However, I would be remiss not to show Queen Emily her flowers, because despite it not being $1 million, I really hope that Emily walks away feeling like she won $1 million, because there are just so many people like myself that can relate to Emily, feeling like you don't fit in sometimes, feeling like all of these different things, and having your back against the wall constantly, and you constantly having to evolve, you constantly having to fight. And for her to get this far is just a testament to get off the couch, to do it, not give up, keep betting on yourself, keep putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, because you'll never know where it will go. And so I am sad to see Emily go, but I am very happy to welcome her to our family, and I hope that she feels very proud of herself.
Yeah, I'm for sure no longer the #1 Emily in reality TV history. So shout out to Emily flipping.
Financial analyst.
No, she was. I mean, you hit it on the head, Brice. She was excellent to watch. Such a fun player. Such an amazing journey throughout the season. Just a great person. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
If there are there's definitely a second chances in her future, right? Like, I feel like she's gold. Like, I would love to see her play again.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts, Wendell, before we close it out?
No, I think you did a good job.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, you're too kind.
No, you're too kind.
Oh, you stop it. But no, seriously, thank you guys for another great episode. This has been your Survivor News Crew covering Survivor Season 45, Episode 11. New Orleans is done, so that means all things are now heading to the Brice and Win Tour 45 finale in LA. It is going to be amazing events. We've got our pre-party. We have our main event on Wednesday. So tickets are available. We have a party on Tuesday.
Let's go.
Okay.
The welcome party, you know about it. That's the lit one.
That's the lit one. And yeah, so if you're going to be in LA the week of December 20th, 19th, and the 20th, come show your baby boy some love. Tickets are available now. I feel like I met someone today in Florida that was from Australia, and they are here in Florida for the Brice and Wynn Present Florida Reality Heart Takeover, and they are staying until LA. So I think it's going to be so dope. And so we will see you again, and the baby boys will be together again. So hopefully
I'll save you a seat. And I just want to quickly say, like this Tuesday, courtesy of Brice and Wynn, I'm going to be at the Los Angeles CBS private screening. And we're able to give away some other tickets there too to some posse members. So if you guys are there, please come say what's up. I also can't wait. I'm really excited for it, so I can't wait till after to be able to share my experience. Even though Brice and Wayne aren't even pulling up, like I say, fight, but I'm very excited for that. I just wanted to say on the pod how much I appreciate you guys getting me in the mix, and I'm looking forward to see some posse members there.
Yes, we appreciate you, Jack. So if any of the posse members that won our contest, if you see Jack, we need to see the photo footage, and hopefully Jack will just get us some behind the scenes video that we can post up so that you can see. But this has been your Survivor News.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.